You should never have all of your money in Roth accounts. I know I'm going to get a lot of negative feedback on this, but hear me out. You've probably heard that the Roth IRA is the holy grail of retirement accounts. Tax-free growth, no RMDs, tax-free withdrawals. It all sounds amazing. Why wouldn't everyone want all their money in a Roth IRA? But what if I told you that putting all your money in Roth accounts could backfire and throw off your future plans? So before you start converting all of your assets to Roth, you need to watch this video. Before we get started, I don't want you to think that I'm anti-Roth IRAs or anti-Roth accounts. In fact, I'm a huge fan of Roth accounts. My point is that you shouldn't have all your money in Roth accounts, and I'm going to explain why. Let's first talk about tax rates. We have no idea what future tax rates are going to be. Will they be higher? Will they be lower? Will capital gains tax be more favorable? Will dividends be tax-free? Who the heck knows? If you're 20 years from retirement, tax policy can change a lot in 20 years. And also tax policy can change a lot during your retirement years, depending on who's in the White House and who's controlling Congress. Remember that Roth IRAs are most valuable if your tax rate's higher in retirement than it is during your working years. But if tax rates are lower when you retire, you've essentially lost out on potential tax deductions during your working years. Everything you own falls under one of three tax buckets. It's either tax-free like a Roth IRA, it's tax-deferred like a traditional IRA, or it's taxable like a brokerage account. When you have all of your money in a Roth IRA, you've essentially limited yourself to just one bucket to draw from during retirement. Currently, distributions from Roth IRAs are tax-free, and I've done several videos on the benefits of Roth IRAs. But it's highly plausible that in the future, legislators in Congress decide that people have too much money in their Roth IRAs and they start taxing them. I can already see a future member of Congress eyeing Roth IRAs as an untapped source of revenue to pay for a spending bill. They're going to make the argument that taxpayers have trillions of dollars in tax-free money in Roth IRAs. And then the momentum is going to build to start taxing people who have all this money in Roth IRAs. Maybe they only start taxing distributions above a certain income threshold, or maybe they impose a tax based on the value of the account. Regardless of how the tax policy changes, it's still going to throw off your long-term planning. Now, I know what you're thinking. Congress will never tax Roth IRAs. It's never going to happen. And I really sincerely hope that it doesn't. But history's shown us multiple times that Congress changes its mind. What historically has been untaxed is now taxed. If you don't believe me, let's go through a few real-life examples. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel. And if there's a topic that you want me to cover in the future, be sure to include it in the comment section below. Let's start with the granddaddy of them all, Social Security. When Social Security was first introduced, it was not taxable because it was considered an insurance policy and you were essentially getting the money back that you put into the program. But then in 1983, they decided to start taxing Social Security. If they go from not taxing Social Security to taxing Social Security, they can certainly start taxing a portion of Roth IRA distributions. Unemployment benefits are another example. Unemployment benefits used to be completely tax-free. And then in 1979, they decided to start taxing unemployment benefits because they considered it income replacement and not an insurance payout. Here's another one that hits almost everyone, and that's the capital gains on home sales. See, before 1997, there was a one-time lifetime exemption of $125,000 for people over 55, and certain reinvestment exemptions meant that sales were effectively tax-free. The rollover investment rules said that if you sold your home and bought another home of equal or greater value within 2 years, you could essentially roll over your gain into the new home. Thus, you would avoid capital gains tax altogether. Now, the exemption is $500,000 for a married couple. So as you can see, here's another example of a tax rate changing, going from no tax on the sale of your home to only having a $500,000 exemption. And if you live in California or New York or another high tax state, most of the time you're going to have a much larger capital gain than $500,000. If you still don't believe me, here's another example. State and local tax refunds. Before the Tax Reform Act of 1986, a state or local tax refund was generally considered non-taxable at the federal level. And the reasoning was simple. A refund was considered a return of your own money and not considered income. Even if you itemize your deductions, the IRS didn't have a systematic process to recapture those deductions later on. But the Tax Reform Act of 1986 changed all that. If you itemize deductions on your federal return in the prior year and then deducted the state and local income taxes, then a refund you received in the next year is taxable to you to the extent that you got a tax benefit. This was called the tax benefit rule. You only pay tax on the refund if you actually lowered your federal tax bill in the prior year. If you took the standard deduction, your refund is not taxable because you never deducted the state and local taxes in the first place. Changes to the stretch Roth IRA are another example of changing the rules. A stretch Roth IRA was an estate planning strategy that allowed non-spouse beneficiaries to stretch the withdrawals of inherited Roth IRAs over their life expectancies, potentially over decades. So essentially, like a grandparent will leave the Roth IRA to the youngest grandchild, and the youngest grandchild would withdraw the money over their life expectancy, which meant that they would withdraw just a small amount every year, and the money would continue to grow tax-free at a much faster rate. Now, people relied on this strategy as an estate planning tool, but the Secure Act of 2019 ended the stretch Roth IRA and imposed a 10-year rule. Now, a non-spouse beneficiary has to liquidate the Roth IRA within 10 years. So I recently read that the IRS is now eyeing frequent flyer miles. So frequent flyer miles are another revenue source for the IRS. Right now, miles that you earn from flights or credit card purchases are not considered taxable income because it's essentially like a discount on the good that you've purchased. But the IRS may start taxing you on sign-up bonus miles without spending requirements or miles that you receive from referring new customers. Again, I'm not saying that the Roth IRA is a terrible investment. I'm a big fan of the Roth IRA and Roth accounts in general. My only point is you want to give yourself options. The bottom line is Congress can change the rules on you at any time, so you want to give yourself options. You have no idea what tax rates are going to be 5 years from now or 20 years from now. Don't handcuff yourself by putting all of your money in just one tax bucket. Just like you wouldn't invest in only one stock in your portfolio, don't only invest in one tax bucket. Spread your money across different tax buckets, such as tax-deferred, tax-free, and taxable accounts, so no matter what Congress does, you have options. For example, if Congress lowers capital gains taxes, you can start drawing from your brokerage account and then leave your other retirement accounts. Or if Congress raises income tax rates, you can draw from your Roth IRA and let your other accounts continue to accumulate until you have to take them out. Or if Congress lowers income tax rates, then you can draw from your traditional IRA because now you're going to get taxed on that, but at a lower tax rate. Your retirement could be 30 or 40 years, and a lot can happen during that time. It's possible you may experience all three of those scenarios at different times during your retirement or even before your retirement. But if you have all of your money in a Roth account, then you essentially have no options. But if you have all your money in three different buckets, now you have options to choose from.